So at the outset, I have a couple things I'd like to say. First of all, to all of you that have made me feel so welcome, thank you. I walk through the tunnels and walk through the buildings, and I have people that say, "Hi, George. Hi, George." I have no idea who you are. Apparently, some of you at least know who I am, and I'm very, very grateful. And the second message I have is to the staff of the Department of University Advancement, many of whom are here because there's an hour and a half off. No, seriously, many of whom are here today. They are very professional individuals. They're very dedicated to this institution, and have really sort of driven home to me a quote that one of my favorite historians at the last place where I was said to me at one point, and that is, "George, we're all students." And so this has been a very much a learning exercise for me. I think it's been a learning exercise for them as they've gotten used to me in as much as that's possible. And I am very, very grateful to the staff of the Department of University Advancement. My key message right now is, and this is basically, I think I'm going to say 92 days for me in elapsed time, counting weekends and so on. And I've learned from the emails that I get from Roseanne at weird hours that weekends are just other days in the week. The message I have for you all is, it doesn't get any better than this. And you say, well, how can you say this, Hood? I mean, you came in here on the heels of an economic adjustment. Some people use crisis. I was involved in a symposium on Friday, the Critical Conversations Symposium on the impact of the economic crisis on the volunteer sector. Well, I don't actually, and this, Tim Broadhead stood up and actually took everybody to task and said, we're only actually where we were 3 years ago in terms of actual economic impact of what we're talking about here. And so people say to me, well, how can you be so optimistic in light of this? I said, well, it's relatively easy if you keep in mind that we are where we were 3 years ago. And second of all, this is an extraordinary message in terms of defining dreams. It's an extraordinary message, and it's a plan that's been put together in a very short period of time. I confess, I told myself about a year and a half ago, after doing this for about 8 years, never do it again. And for those of you that don't know anything about fundraising, demand far outstrips supply, and so headhunters know who you are and they phone you up. And I would always say, I'm really not interested. And my phone rang in September, and I had 2 meetings with Roseanne, and I said yes. And I will tell you all, I said yes because of a fundamental belief on my part in the underlying proposition that is Carleton University, and second of all, in terms of Roseanne Runty and the leadership that she's provided. It's extraordinary that someone in an institution can collaboratively put together a plan like this in such a short period of time. In advancement, we pay attention to three R's. And no, it's not reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's relationships, reputation, and revenue. Now, when we talk about relationships, the cynics say, well, that's like Kramer versus Kramer. And reputation is like wag the dog. And revenue is like Jerry Maguire and show me the money. And it's none of those things. It's none of those things. This is all about how we as an institution engage our friends. And let me say, because people say to us all the time, well, you raise money. Well, that's really not what we do. That's not what we in advancement do. What we do is we help build bridges. Now, as evinced by Duncan's uplifting analysis, for the past 25 years, universities have been systematically, injuriously affected by the great province of Ontario. I think we are 10th in the country, Duncan, in terms of per capita funding. And it's easy to sit there and put it all in the hands of the government and saying, you know what, we're never going to get out of this. What advancement does, and an integrated advancement plan, and a plan like Defining Dreams does, is allows an institution to bridge the gap between mediocrity and something that's much more uplifting than that. And that's where we really want to be in advancement, and that's what Defining Dreams allows us to do. We are in the early stages of preparing for a comprehensive campaign. Now, this comprehensive campaign will be measured in terms of the tens of millions of dollars You really don't want me to put a number out there, do you, Chess? No, you don't. I will say it will be a large number. And it will require the efforts of every person in this room, every person at this institution, and every friend that Carleton has had or will have. Without this, and we go through a relatively mechanical exercise where we require, first of all, a plan for the institution that allows us to tell the story, and I'll come back to that in terms of the story of the institution. From that, we then, in advancement, develop what's called a case statement, and that is basically a case for support. And flowing out of that are then various mini cases, that would be mini cases or cases for support for faculty plans and faculty priorities, and for university priorities like the library. You owe me one, Margaret. Some universities have gone into comprehensive campaigns without something like defining dreams. And you do that at your peril, and now I'm speaking like Jerry Maguire, you leave money on the table. So the notion of us having something like defining dreams is fundamental to what we want to do in terms of how we engage our friends, how we define our needs, and what messages we send. Now, I want to assure the university community that we will be measuring and be able to measure our activities in terms of how effective we are in annual giving, plan giving, leadership giving, major gifts, and so on. But that's not what this plan is about. This plan, Defining Dreams, is inspirational without dictating. In my view, it's enabling without being vacuous, and it's realistic without being pedestrian. It's essential for what we do in advancement, and for Carleton, given where the institution is and for where it wants to be. There are 90,000 charities in this country right now, registered charities. If you believe what was said on Friday, it may soon be 80,000. We're not going to be in that 10,000. To be sure, the economy is challenging, but the truly great institutions will find a way to adapt. So this, I take it back to the notion of storytelling and what Defining Dreams allows us to do, and that is, not many universities are very good at telling their own story. And what I think Defining Dreams does for us is it allows us to tell the Carleton story better than we could possibly hope. So in that context, I very much welcome all of your participation in the next comprehensive campaign. I again reaffirm my gratitude to my colleagues in terms of the other vice presidents, and to Roseanne. And I thank you for your attention.